Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to or watching the Powercast, and we will be recapping Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Episode 5, and the episode was called Choose Your Battles. And I'm here with Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing, Rich?
Doing good, Gary. What's up, listeners and viewers?
What's up, indeed? And I'm also here with Miss Dana Abercrombie. How are you, Dana?
Hello, everyone. Excited to be here. Excited to talk about this episode because, yay!
Yeah, and yeah, I know it's fresh in your mind because you literally just watched it right before this. But yeah, I just want to remind everyone that this is a show we do every week. Takes us a lot of time to do the show. We have to take time out of our busy schedules. So please, if you enjoy this, hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel also. If you want to see more of our content, we review games, movies, TV shows, pop culture stuff in general. So check out the channel, consider subscribing, and also leave a comment as well if you have any feedback or if there's something you want to say about Raising Kanan. Drop a comment, in this because it definitely helps out. So yeah, this was a pretty interesting episode. Lots to kind of dissect here, and of course we had that huge plot twist at the end of the episode, which was quite interesting. And this is going to put a lot of things into perspective now, and it's going to force us to kind of think back to things that we've seen in previous episodes. But yeah, we're going to begin with our takeaways, and then we'll get to some questions. And we also have some news topics about power to discuss later on as well. So let's get right into the takeaways. So I'm going to start with you first, Dana, since the episode is fresh in your mind.
Fresh.
So very fresh. Let us know your takeaways for this week.
All right. So we had a lot of very interesting things that happened that I really wanted to point to one that was good. First off, we do have to deal with, I cannot remember this man's name, Omar Epps' character, with his bone marrow, and the fact that, they tested the family and Howard, thank you. So they tested Howard's family and there are no matches. And so they was like, oh, what diet and exercise? And, he was just basically, you can see that he was very sad about it, but he did a really great job of kind of hiding the emotions, and he's still smoking. But the doctor did say, maybe if you change certain lifestyle activities and also change your diet, it can help to slow down the progression. And he just didn't really seem like he was enthusiastic about it, like there was much hope to hang on to. So this really makes me think that because of this, what else does he have to lose? So he can easily be a man who can either make callous mistakes or go after people at this point now, without any kind of repercussions, because to him, he's dying. But the interesting thing is doctors are very straight to the point with you. So if you were to say, how long do I live? Or if you to say, tell me how bad is it? Am I dying? They will tend to give you a ballpark estimate, be like, yes, if things continue as the way it is, you may have this amount of much, or you may have, a certain amount of time left. But it was really interesting to me, just because of how I interact with doctors a lot, she really wasn't committed to saying anything at all. So I wonder if, he'll be around for the second season, how long he's able to stave off what's going on with the cancer, how the cancer will end up affecting him, his body, his mental state. So this has a lot to come into play with the cases that he's working on, and also with the training day cop that's assigned with him. Because she doesn't know anything as well. So maybe she'll start picking things up that's not in the ordinary. It's something that's out of the ordinary. So that was one of the main things that stood out. Another thing, even though it wasn't like a big standout, was the part where they was going into the houses, the different apartments to look for stash houses, and the man was already in his, he came in and was like, wait, what are you doing here? That kind of situation with the house. It reminded me very much again of New Jack City. Remember that scene where the guy got tossed out of the window, and that terrified me as a child. I'm forever traumatized. That reminded me directly of that scene. I honestly thought he was going to die, but they just beat him up. Marvin beat him up, and that was only because he was trying to show his manliness, because in the previous segment we had him with Lulu, and Lulu saying how stupid and dumb he was for the stash house incident and almost getting Kanan killed, and that whole scene with Raquel. She really laid into him, which kind of made me wonder how did they act when they was kids, because she really put everyone in line. I was like, oh shoot, is that your sister or your mama? She really is amazing and has that kind of really strong backbone where she knows exactly what she wants, and she's willing to get it, and she's willing to talk to her brothers like, hey, you stupid idiot, you screwed up everything. And the fact that it involved her son made her extra, we don't know what's going to really go on now. And it kind of was the turning point where I felt that this is when Lulu is going to start doing side quests. He's going to start doing things on his own that may purposely harm what's going on with Raquel and what she has going on as a form of revenge or payback, or that whole screw you, I'm going to do me type of situation. That attitude that people have. So that also really stuck into my mind. And also we have to talk about the big plot twist in the end. We'll get into what about the birth date of Kanan and who's that baby daddy situation. That was really like an oh my god moment. I mean, they think Gary kind of heard me when I was watching, like, oh my god. That was one of those really strong moments. And also the whole situation with Jukebox and the girl whose name I can't remember. I'm sorry to her. Nicole. So that whole situation with the Nicole thing, and of course the baked spaghetti. I've never baked spaghetti in my life. Maybe I'm cooking wrong.
Yeah. Like I thought that was weird because what's her name, Jukebox was saying like this is a common way that that folks cook spaghetti, and I'm like, what? Like
maybe she means people do that. I'm like, that sounds like lasagna to me. So
yeah, exactly. That's like what we would do with lasagna, but like spaghetti, what, in the oven? Like, and I noticed that that's what Kanan did last week when he was cooking for Raquel as well. So this more like, is this a Queens thing? Like, I don't get it. Like, do I need to call up Nas or something and see what's going on?
I don't know. Maybe it was like an 80s thing. I don't know. But that really did stand out. Also, what was really interesting, which is like a little small blip, when Nicole's parents was yelling at Jukebox about that whole situation when she found her kissing on the bed. Remember, what was it? The mother freaked out and the dad was genuinely lost and confused. She started screaming, if you come back here, I'm going to tell the police that you raped my daughter, which, is a common thing that has been happening to the Black community. Yep. So I thought that was a really great nod of how they just added that in there. Also, another really cute thing that they added in there, when Marvin was reenacting the whole stash house situation, he kind of did the Soldier Boy impression, and then I shot him, bang, and it was over there, bang, bang, and then he got me, bang, shot him in the ass, boom, that whole thing. So that was really cute how they just kind of just slid that in there really nicely. But overall, excellent episode. I loved all of what they did. They really captured the environment of the 80s. That computer, my God. That was a computer that they used. But yeah, they did a really great job, really great episode, really great acting once again. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next episode. Oh, and also they're cooking crack, which I learned.
Oh, yeah.
It's something you do, because I didn't know that. I'm sorry. It's like an amazing thing.
They were doing that blocks away from you in the 80s. Like,
I wasn't even here. I literally had to be like, Mom, was this true? Mom, were they throwing people out their houses in order to get the stash house? Yes, baby. What? You lived through that? Yes. So that was everything.
Yeah, that's real. But yeah, excellent takeaways. I'm gonna head right into my takeaways right now. And yeah, so what I like, the first thing I enjoyed about this episode is that like we kind of got to see the first sign of tension between Kanan and Jukebox because we saw they kind of got into it and they clashed a little bit. And so and Kanan, there was that moment where Kanan like said, I know your secrets. And he said it in like a threatening way, as if, he wouldn't be scared to tell people, the secrets. And if my memory serves me correctly, in the OG Power series, Jukebox says something about, when her father found out, about her sexuality or something. And there was some kind of discourse there or something like that, right? So I'm wondering if this is something Kanan tells Marvin or something, or if he finds out another way, so.
I feel that Jukebox is going to try to contact Nicole, and Nicole's parents are going to find out. And maybe that's when, because they like to investigate. Right. So maybe that in some investigation, and they find out who her father is, and they go and tell the father. Yeah. I don't, at this moment, feel that Kanan is going to tell his uncle.
Okay, yeah, that could very much be the case also. But
he looks vindictive.
Yeah, just the fact that Kanan said that, it made me think, like, is he going to tell someone though? Like, so I'm just wondering if that's, something that might happen. But yeah, that was interesting to see. And then she actually said something interesting. She said she knows a lot of secrets in the family. So when she said that, I'm wondering if she's kind of like hinting at when she saw Uncle Lulu pick up D Wiz, the night he disappeared, the night he died, so because she obviously saw that, so she knows that Lulu probably has something to do with that, right? So I'm wondering if that's what she was referring to when she says she knows a lot of secrets in the family. So yeah, it was kind of interesting to see, some tension, and I do kind of like there's been a lot of tension lately between the family, like, because we also see in this episode that Uncle Lulu and Marvin kind of get into it and have like a sibling, scuffle. And yeah, go ahead.
I'm an only child. Is that a thing?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's definitely a thing. Like, especially with males, like, because testosterone and everything, like you're gonna clash, you're gonna fight. Me and my brother don't really fight anymore, but like, when we was young,
yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Wrestling. Yep.
Yeah, so that is the thing, and I liked seeing that because right after it wasn't like they continued to feel upset at each other, like they had their fight, and then Lulu kept it moving, and that was it after that, like, and Marvin was back to joking around again. So that's exactly like a brotherly scuffle. That's how it goes. Like you fight, you get your your feelings off, and then that's it. You just continue as normal after that. So that was cool to see. And another thing is, so yeah, I noticed as well. I noticed like more than ever, like in this episode, how much Kanan and Jukebox sound like their older counterparts. Like, it seems like they really studied, the characters, and they actually talk like them. Like, Kanan talks like 50 Cent often.
He looks like him.
Yeah, they look alike too. Yeah, like I'm sure you've seen the picture of that 50 Cent post a lot, where it has like their faces half and half.
Yeah,
and they really look alike. So yeah, there's that. But it seems like both those actors, and they're so young. That's why it's like so astounding, like, to see. But they really studied the speech patterns of the older versions of the characters, because they sound exactly like them. A Jukebox as well, she sounds exactly like she even sometimes, like, her facial features, like the way she talks and stuff, it looks like that Jukebox from OG Power. So yeah, they're doing a really great job of playing those characters, and that stood out a lot to me in this episode. And yeah, like the way Howard dropped that bombshell at the end was so well done. Like, it's one of those twists where it's like he says it, and then instantly you're like, wait, how did I not see that coming? and then like your mind just goes racing backwards to see all of the signs, and then you start seeing all of the signs clear as day, you know. But it's like, how didn't we catch this? Like, so yeah, it was very well done, well planted, because I haven't seen anyone theorize about that before. Like, I haven't seen anyone, you know, say anything like that Howard's Kanan's father or anything. So the fact that they dropped that bombshell, and then it all makes sense, you know, when you think back, it's like, wow, they were, you know, hinting towards this for a while. And I guess now it makes sense why we're seeing Howard struggle with leukemia and everything, and them saying that there's no matches, you know. So it's clear to see now that, you know, we're probably going to have a situation where he does have a match. And the question is going to be, you know, well, that raises a lot of questions. Like, first of all, will Kanan know about this? Like, will he find out that that's his father straight away, or will they keep it from him? And then, you know, will Howard ask Raquel, you know, if you know, that could be an option where Kanan becomes the donor or whatever? Will he even raise that as a question? You know, so there's so many things that come from this revelation, and I'm very curious to see how they explore it. Go ahead, Dana.
No,
You're muted.
Yeah. For me, what was interesting, and because you brought that up, was, remember the bloody, what was the lip? And then it focused directly on the blood after they did the birth, because the year where they had for what was it, Rondell? I wonder, one of two things, that I thought he was going to do a DNA test, but I don't know what the DNA situation was looking like back in the 80s. I wonder if he's going to use that blood in order to test it to see if he's a match for the donor situation. So that's what I think it's going to be used for. And then he'll probably end up lightly threatening Raquel with, you know, revealing the truth to Kanan, if he can probably use his bone marrow. That's how I felt.
Yeah, I mean, that's likely. But yeah, it's a crazy twist. And there's more I could speculate about, but I'm gonna let Rich, you know, talk about his, and then we can talk more about it after. So, Rich, what are your takeaways from this episode?
Okay, first and foremost, let me just say excellent takeaways as always from the both of you. Before I get into my takeaways, I have some paperwork here. I want to take a look at this.
Oh, is that the Jim Jones paperwork?
Oh, no, here we go.
Oh, okay.
So the results are in.
Right.
In the case of 15-year-old Kanan Stark, Howard, you are the father. Yes. And if you watch bad TV shows, you probably know what I'm talking about. But I just want to say, first takeaway, that was very well done. I think you both have already said it. It was very well done. It explains so much about why they focused on Howard and his health condition. And it does leave a lot of possibilities open. You know, I know that you both said that you asked the question, could Kanan potentially find out? Because of how things badly has gone for Kanan as he gets older, I think it's a situation where he may find out, but it might be too late, because, you know, Howard may be on his deathbed by when that actually happens. But we'll see. But I really like how that twist was thrown in there, because it adds more to the character. We you know, the whole time when this show started, we wondered, who was he going to side with, Raquel or Unique? And one thing that you like, Gary, because we had a conversation about this as well, is that you said potentially now we know why Howard sort of has a vendetta with Raquel, because but it adds more to it, because he obviously didn't know Kanan was his son until this episode. But, you know, anytime he spoke to Unique, he was like, oh yeah, Unique, I'm in your corner, I will help you out. So it's kind of like he had some type of beef with her. Obviously the relationship didn't end well, whatever relationship they had previously. So he could have been a little bit bitter about that. But now to know that Kanan is his son, it really opens up the storytelling to a lot of different possibilities. So I'm excited to see what happens. Obviously, it will not end well because none of these characters were in the regular Power series. So I kind of am fearful of what that means for what happens to them, but we'll see about that. My other takeaway from this episode, you both have touched on this, and I'm just going to touch on it a little bit further. I feel as though Kanan, the whole beef between Kanan and Jukebox, it's like Kanan is very much delusional and in denial, because that whole fight started is because she said, hey, I believe Davina is the one that ratted you out. And as soon as she said that, he just turned completely evil, said, no, I know a lot of secrets about you. And I'm pretty sure other people would not want to hear about these secrets. So it's like, I was a little surprised that he would even think that Scrappy was the one that would essentially, now I understand, you see that Scrappy is there, you think that this is a competition between you and Scrappy, but I was a little surprised that the character would think Scrappy, he would do all this because he doesn't want to see me, take his spot, all this other stuff. But the thing is this, if Scrappy was the one that ratted him out, he's also ratting out where he actually works at, because he also is in that stash house. That's why I would thought the character is just completely delusional and in denial that Davina is the one that said something. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen, because again, they didn't have a conversation in this episode. You didn't see her at all in this episode. So whenever they have their next conversation, I'm curious to see how that goes, because we obviously know that, yes, she did tell Unique this information. So we'll see where that goes. Of course, y'all touched on the whole thing with Jukebox, and that was, yeah, that was very rough to see that reaction by the mother, the parents in general, but the mother specifically. And the thing is that because they were so carefree, kissing in the bed, I actually thought that was going to happen at last week when they were kissing in the bed. I figured if they keep doing that, sooner or later, we know how many times the parents just barge in and then they see something that they didn't intend to see. So I figured that was going to happen at some point, but the reaction, the mother's reaction is just like, wow, like that's just craziness. We'll see what happens with that.
Well, one thing about that scene that had me like laughing was like the dad just kept like, he kept saying, will somebody tell me what's going on, like over and over. Like, isn't it obvious from what she's saying? Like,
I was surprised she didn't call her the N-word.
Yeah, I thought that was what it was going to go to that, but
I thought.
It felt like it was coming. It was coming there though.
That happened when Jukebox left the house. That's when that happened. So we didn't even see that part, because that's when they do it. When we're not around, that's when they start letting that fly. So
I was confused about one thing. Remember when she was walking down the street and she was crying, and there was a couple, the white couple? That wasn't the parents, were they? Was it?
No, that was just another couple. Yeah.
I legit thought, like, in that moment, she was going to kill them.
Yeah, I also thought she was going to do some type of violent act against them, because I was wondering why they showed that.
Yeah, that was really confusing.
Well, this isn't the last we'll see of this situation. Like, this is going to escalate and lead to something else, and maybe it will lead to Nicole showing up where Jukebox lives or something down the line.
Yeah, I don't see them breaking up because of this.
The thing that people should know as a parent, by now you should know, if you try very hard to control what your kid does, then they will do whatever they want to do. So the relationship is going to continue, but it's a matter of what's going to happen. How's it going to escalate? Because we know that either the mother or father will catch them. The mother, most likely, since the mother is the one that's just like very offended that my daughter would be messing around with another girl. I mean, I was very surprised with that response. But I mean, I'm curious to see what people thought about a lot of stuff that happened in this episode. The final takeaway I want to mention very briefly is the love triangle that is about to go in a very bad direction with Crown, Camacho, Jessica, and Lulu. Because you saw, in this episode, obviously Crown Camacho, he has not been paying his people. Lulu comes in there and then gives money, flashes money, gives money to some of his workers. And then at the end of the episode, he decides to get busy with Jessica in the same studio. Now, we already know that Crown Camacho has been pushing up on Jessica as well. So it's only a matter of time before this situation gets out of control. This episode would make you believe, okay, everything is fine. Everybody is still working together. But I kind of feel like it's coming. It's a matter of time. And it could be something whereas because she is going to be in the frame of mind, well, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to maintain this relationship so that my brother can be successful. And we already know that Crown Camacho, he can take that in a negative context and try to do other things that you're not supposed to do to try and make sure that he gets what he wants out of this as well. So it's only a matter of time. I'm just curious to see how it's going to spiral. You know, we did see that Jukebox finally did get her chance. And I was great to see that payoff where Lulu helped her to get into recording. So that was cool. That was cool to see that. But the whole thing with the love triangle, this is not going to end well. And I'm just curious how they're going to steer it in the direction of, because we saw the flirtatious stuff between Camacho and Jessica in the previous episode. So it's not like he's not going to still try and get close to her. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that they have sort of like a music / hip hop storyline going on in this as well. Because, you know, this era that, you know, they're depicting is like, it was like my golden age, you know, like of hip hop kind of thing. So I like that they have that kind of story, and I can't wait to see how that plays out as well. And I like that, you know, Lulu and Marvin, they all have their own like side stuff going on too. That's really cool to see, especially with like Lulu and stuff. So yeah, that's good. Yeah. So was that all of your takeaways, or did you have more?
Oh no, that's pretty much all of them. I think y'all covered the other takeaways. But yes,
Okay.
Excellent episode.
Yeah, excellent indeed. I won't say my favorite so far. I think my favorite was last week's, but this was really good too. And you know, Unique was good in this also. And that's another thing that, you know, I guess we'll get into this right now as the first question. So, you know, we saw what happened between Kanan and Scrappy. They had a fight, you know, because Kanan believes that he's the one that gave up, you know, the location of the stash house and everything. So they had a fight, and that led to Howard, you know, picking them up and everything. And then, you know, later on, we see that Scrappy actually joins with Unique. He has a meeting with Unique, and they embrace him and they invite him into the team. So I want to ask you guys, do you see Scrappy being loyal to Unique? Because, you know, my thing is that, you know, we saw a scene which wasn't very well explained, but we see a scene where after Scrappy is released from you know, police custody later on, he runs into Raquel, and they have a conversation in the car, and then the next thing we see is that he's over at Unique, you know. So I want to ask you guys, you know, is Scrappy loyal to Unique now, or, you know, is he still kind of working with Raquel? So Rich, what do you think of that?
I think that was very well done and very intentional to make you question whether or not he's loyal to one side over the other. We saw in this episode, when he was mentioned before, Scrappy was mentioned, one of the most loyal people to Raquel on the whole team. So, you know, obviously the whole thing with Kanan, maybe has some of those feelings towards Kanan that, yes, he is her son, so he's kind of going to get preferential treatment in some regards, but I don't think he would turn on Raquel, because the thing is that you saw in the previous episode, Unique had it, you know, and his boys, they were the ones to make the first move in terms of actually trying to hold up, you know, holding up Kanan and stealing the supply. So I would think that in a game of chess, or any game for that matter, the other side now has to make a move. And I think that Scrappy is the move to get him in there. Now, the question is whether or not he ends up turning on them later, because I think the conversation with Raquel The reason they didn't show that is because they want you to think this can go either way. Either he's working with Raquel still, or he's working with the other side. That's why I said it's very smart, because this show has a lot of questions that is throwing at you to try and think about, which is what will keep you watching to figure out what the answer is going to be. But I don't think that Scrappy is turned on Raquel. Can it happen later down the road if perhaps he actually starts to work with Unique's crew and starts to build a bond with them? Absolutely. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is Raquel's strategy, because we know that she likes to strategize and plan things out. So for now, I'm going to say I think Scrappy is working still with Raquel. That's my thought.
Okay. And what do you think, Dana?
Oh, there we go. I cannot tell you. I'm literally at 50-50. I initially was going to say yes, that he's going to go work on the other side, because he just got his behind beat. And if you look at the whole dynamics, remember everything that he was saying as he was getting his butt beat was like, oh, you're not, what's this dude's name? You're not Rondell. Basically saying, you're not your father's son, in the sense of, he would have killed me already. Man up, do something. Mm-hmm. And he didn't. So it kind of made me feel like he was trying to test him, and that he was very angry towards what was going on with Kanan, and also Raquel by extension. So that's why I would have said that, oh, he's crossing over to the other side. But that whole car scene, like you were saying, it was what threw me off, because they could have easily had the conversation to be like, look, this is what I want you to do, pull this move, and let them think that you're switched over and you're on their side. But here's the thing that I come into question. For me, it feels like Unique is not dumb, and Unique would also think this as well. And he could be testing Scrap to see how loyal is he, or he could be feeding him misinformation. When you give that person that misinformation and they go run off and tell other people, and then you'll know exactly if that person is the one that's ratting and is against you. Mm-hmm. So you have also that dynamic at play. So I really cannot answer that question for you. Do I believe eventually, if we get, the mid-season or even a season 2, will that happen? Absolutely. We all know within the Power universe, anyone can cross over at any time. I just don't know when. And I don't know what's going to be that reason why. I don't know if something between, Kanan and Raquel has too much power, or if it's, it makes him feel important that he can do that double spy thing. He's a double mole. So it just really depends on the situation and in that person. And I honestly, I don't know. That little fight that they had with Kanan also could be a way to man him up. He really, it didn't look like he was taking that fight too seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's cute. Little, a little puppy dog trying to come and kick my behind. That's cool. So I just don't know at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and you said something, very important there, because when we see Scrappy having the conversation with Unique, you can see like the expressions on the other people's faces in the room. Unique's people, like, they definitely, like, they don't trust this guy, and if they if they don't trust this guy, then I don't think Unique does either. So yeah, I'm thinking Unique probably doesn't all the way trust him either, but he's going to play the situation to his advantage somehow.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you feel like maybe you're a little disappointed that Unique did not have a reaction to his boy getting shot last week? At least I don't recall seeing that at all during that whole interaction.
I guess that means he was. I guess that means he don't care. Like, maybe he was expendable.
No, that's so no. Because we saw him when he killed him. It looked like it was a painful murder. When if you take regular murders, pow pow, dead. Or you're like Marvin, and I shot him, pow, and over here, pow. No, it was just one of those moments where it's like he didn't want to do it. It was like that whole "Am I my brother's keeper?" type of action, moment that they had to beat. Yes.
Are you talking about the guy that Unique killed, or the
Wait,
guy
what was
that
your other
Marvin?
I'm talking about the fact that Unique's friend, the guy that Marvin shot at the end of the episode, I was expecting him to have a reaction.
Him. Oh, him. Yeah. No, he's dispensable. What was he? Number 3?
He was expendable,
He was expendable. You don't take on the credit. It was like random dude number 2.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, he's a Suicide Squad guy. Like, so.
Perfection.
But yeah, like I don't think they trust Scrappy all the way. And then you see well, after the fight with Kanan, I believe one of Unique's guys was outside or something, right? And he saw.
Yeah. That's the one that saw it, and that was the one that was tried to basically help to facilitate that meeting between him and Unique.
Right. So maybe that guy thinks that Scrappy's for real, but
I think so.
Yeah, but I don't know about the others, and I feel like Unique is too smart. Like he's just as calculating as Raquel, which makes this great.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, but what was you gonna say, Dana?
See, I'm taking it from the side of if I was henchman number 5 on Unique's team, and I see Scrap. Was it Scrap? Yeah, I see Scrap changing sides over, and now going with Unique. Wouldn't someone alert Raquel as to what they saw, or do you keep it hush hush?
I mean, if it was for real, they would probably keep it hush hush. Like if it was for real, and just let Raquel find out whenever she finds out, kind of thing. I don't think anyone would report to her, but yeah.
I just want to throw a little side note. Now based off of this discussion and how that character died, it doesn't mean anything. This made me think about Power Season 6 when Ghost goes to try to kill Tommy. You know what I'm talking about, Gary, because we spoke about this on this same podcast, where you see Tommy's car is leaving, and then one of Jason's guys just gives his life, goes outside and gets shot up in the car. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of. And Jason didn't care after that. He's like, whatever. So yeah, it's funny. It's funny.
That was hilarious. Season 6 was amazing in its own way. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how this plays out with Scrappy. But let's lead into the next question. Wait, I might insert another question here. Let me see. Yeah, let me insert a real quick question here before I go to the big one, right? So do you think that Kanan has finally given Symphony his blessing, and that he's 100% comfortable with him now? Because I guess he did kind of help him out a little bit by picking him up and everything. We know Raquel is gonna find out anyway. Well, she did, because Howard came and everything. But do you feel like he trusts Symphony now, and that he's kind of given him his blessing that, okay, you're with my mom and I accept it now? Do you think he's at peace with that fact now? What do you think, Dana?
I don't think he's ever at peace at some dude being with his mother, just in general. But I think that they've grown to an understanding, and there's a mutual respect. Remember the very last scene with them together, where he gave him his phone number, and he said, well, it was so weird, because I'm like, wait, just pull out your cell phone. But he gave him his phone number, and was like, if you need anything, even just to hang out, not just when you're in trouble, but just to hang out, call me. And he didn't respond in a type of negative way. Like, remember that scene that we saw initially when Symphony was at the computer, like naked at the computer, like, what are you doing? We didn't see that. There was an agreement towards them. They're very friendly now. He complimented on his observation, told him how intelligent he was, and he responded by telling him how great the classes were. You know, there wasn't any kind of hostility where at first, remember when he saw the class that it was Symphony that was teaching, he was like, oh man, you know, look at my life. I hate this right now. It was like, hey, to me, it seemed like he was coming to class willingly. Then he was excited to learn. Yeah.
Oh no, continue. I'm gonna say something after you're done.
Oh, okay. And then, you know, at the very end, he said, oh, you really like my mom. And he's like, yeah, I do. He's like, I like that. I think that nod and that little exchange was literally, I give you my approval.
Yeah.
I may not 100% trust you, but I give you my approval. So yeah, right. I think they're all right.
Okay, and what do you think, Richard?
I think they are on good terms. However, I will say this. I think that happened very quickly. How last week, like, he didn't really want to have nothing to do with Symphony, you know, was some tension, whatever. And then all of a sudden, the next episode, that's why I was curious how much time has passed. There's a couple of days have passed because they mentioned it in this episode when Raquel finds the shirt. She said, oh, yeah, it's been about 3 or 4 days. I thought you were going to say something. You didn't say anything. So I thought that was a little quick that turned around. But I think, yeah, I think he pretty much is accepting of him now. I do think that he is, however, putting Symphony in trouble by telling him stuff that Raquel does not know. And Symphony did say, if Raquel asks me, I will tell her the truth.
Yeah.
But that's a very risky situation to put this guy in, you know, especially in a relationship. You know, you need to be honest. So.
No, I thought that was a really great response to say, I respect your mother enough, and also I'm terrified of her, to not lie to her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that was actually the best response, because would you want your mother to be with a man who's purposely keeping secrets?
No.
So
no. I agree.
I really like that.
No, I agree. I agree that I like that he is that type of individual. I think Kanan, though, to try and tell him the secrets and then say, oh, don't tell my mom. I say Kanan is the one putting him in.
Yeah,
a risky situation.
But no, but he responded by saying, "I'm going to tell her."
Oh yeah.
Like she asked, so he wasn't even like, "No, I'm gonna hide it. I'm on your side." It was like, "No, I'm telling her."
Yeah, he just I'm
not dying.
That's good. I like that response. Yes.
So yeah, that was good.
It's
let him know.
It's a responsible, answer, because it's like, okay, I'll help you out a little by not mentioning it, but if she brings it up, then I'm gonna tell her. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's, he's showing kind of understanding to both parties, I guess. So
yeah,
that's a good way. He's smart. I like Symphony.
Yeah, he's responsible, so that's good. But now that we see what happened at the end, right, with Howard, does this now put the tension, between Symphony and Howard now? If this, starts to unravel.
I don't think they're thinking about each other.
I mean, we saw them have a tense exchange in this episode when Symphony comes to collect Kanan. They kind of have like a moment of tension.
Well, we know Symphony don't like cops, and he don't like them profiling and going after other black men. So that I think is something that, definitely was something you noticed in this episode. And this is why I say Kanan is smart, because he played that to his advantage to say, well, because they had a conversation about some of this stuff before he got arrested. They had a conversation in the classroom, did they not, about how the world views black men and stuff like that. And then later in the episode, he said, oh, well, that was smart for him to call him, because he figured he was going to be the one that could possibly get him out of this situation. So, yeah, but to answer the question, I mean, that's a very good question. I don't really, obviously he doesn't know what the story is between Howard and Raquel and the fact that that's Kanan, that's his son.
But obviously, like from Howard's perspective, obviously he knows that something happened between him and Raquel. For this guy to show up and start defending Kanan and stuff, he's probably thinking in his head, "Oh, this is who she's with now." Okay.
No, here's what doesn't make any sense, because Symphony seems to be like a guy who's mature, and that was 15, 16 years ago, depending on the lie of the year of how old Kanan is.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I don't think he cares.
Oh yeah, Symphony doesn't. You know,
Symphony doesn't care. Omar
Yeah.
Epps and Howard, at this point, maybe Moody and maybe Testy against him,
yeah.
simply because of the fact of the age difference and maybe a little bit jealous.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I don't think if they have tension, I don't really believe it'll be about Raquel. It's about the fact that when Kanan told him, oh yeah, it's just the cops are just messing around with me. So if he sees that Howard if he happens to be visiting or over the house, whatever, he sees Howard outside looking at Raquel's house, trying to look and check up on Kanan, then he may say something because he's going to feel like, oh, what is this guy's vendetta with Kanan? So I kind of feel like, because again, how Kanan presented this whole conversation to him is that, oh yeah, this is just the cops just messing around with me. It isn't nothing. I didn't do anything and all this other stuff. So now I could see there still being tension between them if those two happen to be in the same area, and it just so happens that Howard is having a conversation or stopping Kanan to say something to him. That will definitely create an issue between them two.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
And now I'm wondering if there's any connection between Howard and DEF CON, like if they encountered each other somehow, because he referenced DEF CON in this episode where he said, Kanan's not DEF CON's kid, And
he said, he was able to say when he went away to jail, and that was how he put the time together. Oh yeah, that's definitely my son, because he was already gone. But when you got pregnant, so but go ahead. Dana was gonna say something.
I forgot what the question was.
No, I was just saying, like I was, because DEF CON is that's who they thought Kanan's child was. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if there's any connection now between Howard and DEF CON, like because I'm assuming he might have been a cop back then too.
I don't think so.
Are you assuming that perhaps maybe he had something to do with DEF CON getting arrested? Perhaps.
Who knows? I'm wondering if this might be something, because obviously there's a history. He knows who DEF CON is.
But no. Remember in the monologue that he gave to Training Day? In that monologue, he was explaining that DEF CON was, the Mount Rushmore of drug dealer people, and that Kanan is the prince.
Yep.
I think that was something that was, if you're like Nicky Barnes, you compared him to Nicky Barnes. If you're someone who's already acquainted with that world, you would know who that person is just in general. So I don't think that he was any kind of arresting officer or had anything to do with that.
He might not have been like an arresting officer or anything, but it's likely that they encountered each other, because if he's sleeping with Raquel so soon after DEF CON goes away, likely they know each other somehow, or they've.
It was a 2-year difference, and from what I understood, I thought that Howard and Raquel kind of went all the way back since kind of teenage years.
Well, that's a good theory. I have no idea, because I don't know if they didn't really reveal and confirm that information yet. But we'll see. Maybe they will. Maybe they will expand upon that, since it's put out there now that yes, that is his father.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they're gonna tie any of that in. If there's any connection at all. Like, I'm not saying like he's the one that arrested him or anything, but it's likely that they know of each other or something. So that is a good point, and also I think there has to be an explanation as to why Raquel cut off the relationship with Howard, because there has to be a reason for that. Like if she found out, a cop. Well, yeah, that is what I would assume it is. Yeah, we got to see. But yeah, I would assume it definitely, obviously, is that, obviously they're on two sides. He's obviously doing with the lodge. He's doing some illegal activity. So yeah, but we'll see. These are good things to think about. So we'll see. Yeah. So the final question, since we're already here, is, and I guess we've kind of like already talked this down already, but like, so is Kanan really Howard's son? And if this is the case, do you think there will be a situation where Kanan will end up either wanting to be or being, Howard's donor, for his surgery that he needs? So I just wanted to get, more of your perspective on that topic in particular. We've kind of already talked about it, but do you have anything else to add to it? So Dana, you're making faces at me, so what's up?
Why would you randomly? The dude has kind of basically been a thorn in your side and bothering your mother, like from Kanan's perspective, bothering his mother, bothering him. He does not like cops. His mother raised him to kind of not like cops. Symphony doesn't like cops. And then all of a sudden, you have to tell that your dad, who I'm going to assume he never met because he went into jail. I want to know how that timeline works. But the dad that he never met is not his father, but the guy who's always been kind of harassing him and hanging around the house is his real dad. And then you go on with that, and then you have to, then understand that your mother lied to you, that your mom then went with a cop. I don't know if he was a cop then, or he later went and became a cop. But your mom now is part of a cop line, or was a cop family. And no, I don't see Kanan being the kind of guy in general who's like, hey, buddy, I got you, no matter what. He doesn't seem to welcome people lovingly into his arms. Be like, hey, you need that bone marrow? And also that process is very painful. So no, I honestly think that Howard just in general will just go off and die. Because and I'm just sorry, but that doesn't make any sense. Why would you force your kid to do something, a painful situation, to do something that he probably doesn't want to do? Yeah. And then on top of that, Kanan would be extremely mad at his mom, so he's definitely not going to listen to her to go do the bone marrow. No.
What do you think, Rich?
Well, just to respond to the Howard situation, we'll see what happens with Howard. I kind of feel like he will go out in a blaze of glory, where it's going to be. I don't think he's just going to die from the cancer. It's probably going to be with this whole thing going on with Unique and Raquel. Maybe he'll get caught in the crossfire and he'll end up getting shot or something to that degree. But to answer your question, Gary, about Kanan and Howard's relationship, I do not see Kanan ever finding that out. If he finds out that information, it's going to be too little too late, because you see, Kanan's already going down the negative path. And I think it's going to be a situation where he's going to be too far gone, whereas he won't even entertain, if he ever hears that information, he won't even entertain it at that point. If I had to make a prediction, I think that before this season is over, Kanan's going to take another step in doing something very reckless and dangerous and violent. You saw him kill, kill Buck 20. That's his name. See, I forgot his name. I guess I'm not as good as the newspapers that talk about him either. But yeah, 20. He had a hand in killing this guy, and then you see he gets into a fight with Scrappy in this episode. Not successful, by the way. So I kind of feel like by the end of this season, the character is probably going to take another step in a negative direction. Yes, he learned how to cook in this episode, but again, he's not yet the tough, hardened individual he is that we know from regular Power. So some stuff is going to happen to make him get to that level. Maybe a character gets killed that is very important to him, close to him, and that leads to this as well. But in terms of the stuff with Howard, it's hard to tell, because they still could play that card where eventually he does find out about Howard and they have some type of conversation. But I kind of feel like, because he's going down a negative path, I don't want to say this, I don't want to be cliche, but I kind of feel like it could be a situation where Kanan gets in over his head. Maybe he kills some people, and then Howard is the one that comes in. It just happens to come and save him, and then gets killed. And then as he is dying, Kanan, I am your father. I really hope that don't happen, though, because that'll be too cliche. I don't want to see it happen like that. But go ahead. Dana's going to say something.
Go ahead, Dana. You go first.
I really want a situation where Kanan kills Howard, and his last words is, I'm your father. and then he just shoot. Here's the thing, Kanan, as we've seen, even with the end of this episode when he's cooking the crack or out of coke, I don't know, crack, is it cocaine or crack? I don't know.
Crack.
What?
Crack.
It's crack? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm learning. So
the cocaine turns into crack when you cook it.
Yeah.
You see, you're teaching me things.
Snowfall.
Snowfall? Okay. It's a cooking lesson right now. So what I was saying was, when you saw that episode, remember when he's with the razor blade and he's cutting it all up?
Mm-hmm.
There was a smile on his face. There was that life, and then he gave that whole monologue about, oh, the life that we choose. He was like, no, I chose this on purpose. Yep. Everything that he does, he knows what he wants to do. He's calculated. It's not a if or a wishy-washy thing. And that's what I also think that Raquel doesn't like. But in regards to that, I think that he's willing to do whatever he has to do to protect his family and to protect the business and to protect himself. And I feel that in order to do that, he has to take out Howard. I don't know the circumstances of what'll end up happening later in the episodes, but I do not see this boy willing to change or stop or bend in any way to Howard at all, and that he will easily kill him. He is not someone who is going to shy away from killing. If you look at one, he killed the guy whose name I can't remember. He killed him. He was next to the guy who got his head blown off when Uncle Marvin killed him. He didn't really blink. He was just like, oh. And then he threw up because, like, at first, it's what you do. But it wasn't like, oh, my God, you killed him. Oh, my God, what's going to happen? He didn't freak out, right? Yeah. Remember his mama taught him how to shoot, and he got really happy with that, okay? And then remember when we saw the blood on his shoe? And he went and he did the thing to clean off the blood on his shoe, and he looked at the blood and was like, huh. And then he went on with his day. Mm-hmm. It's not something that he really sits and thinks about and it's on his conscience and he feels guilty about. So with Howard, he has to kill Howard, and I look forward to that scene.
And Rich is probably going to say what I'm going to say, but yeah, go
ahead. I want to see if you say what I was thinking of.
No, you go first.
I was going to say, if he does kill Howard, that is a perfect bookend to when he killed Sean, who was his son, supposedly.
And was he his son? This is a family of lives.
Yeah, see, yeah. No telling. But that would be perfect. That show you how dark the character is. Killed his father and then he killed his own son. So
yeah. See, I like that. I like how you guys put that. And that shows, we're all writers here, because we think of these things, these connections and these plot threads and stuff. And yeah, that how you guys describe that would be amazing if that's how it ends, where he shoots him, he shoots his father, and it plays into the whole him shooting Sean as well, his son. Like that would
Laverne.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, and that would be amazing if that's how it turns out. So I also had like a different thought of what I think could happen also. And it could still end up the same way, but like what I think is going to happen, this is similar to what Rich said also, actually. I do think that there's going to be a moment where Kanan gets in over his head. He gets into some serious stuff with Unique and his crew. And then Howard shows up and kind of defuses the situation and rescues Kanan. And, they're in the car together. And I guess, Howard is having a heart-to-heart with Kanan. And then he kind of reveals that, he is his father and everything. And he starts to talk about what happened between him and his mother. And, Kanan is like just shocked and touched in that moment. And then Howard starts becoming visibly sick, as he's, saying this. And then, Kanan's like, what's going on? What's wrong? And, he said, I've got leukemia. They say, I got X amount of days, or weeks to live unless I find a match or whatever. And then, that plants it in Kanan's mind that he could be, a donor. And then he might be wrestling with that thought for a while. I do think like if Raquel finds out about this, she's going to be 100% against it. She's not going to want him to be a donor at all, and she's going to actively keep, you know, the whole thing about him being the father away from Kanan. So that might make Kanan mad at Raquel for a while. And, you know, she's definitely going to be 100% against, you know, those two kind of having any type of relationship or whatever, right? And then later on, it comes down to a moment where, you know, some serious stuff has happened with the gang situation, you know, the two crews, and it, you know, it comes down to Howard having to make a move and, you know, kind of, you know, put a case or something on Raquel, and then maybe Kanan, you know, he has to choose if he, you know, is he going to, you know, protect his mother, protect his family and the business, or is he going to allow, you know, Howard to keep, you know, doing what he's doing, even though it's his father? And then, you know, maybe that can make him, that could lead into him making that decision to kill Howard, you know, because he's putting him out of his misery, you know, because he's sick. So that might be how he sees it. That's not how, obviously, you know, that's harsh to think that, but that might be, at that point in time, that might be how he views it. Like, you know, that might be how he chooses to resolve the situation.
Well, I just want to say one thing real quick. Then I want to hear what Dana has to say. I think when you mentioned the part about him telling Kanan, "Oh yeah, I am your father," and then he tells him, "Oh yeah, well I'm sick. I need a donor." I think that's the kind of thing that will make Kanan think this guy is lying to try and get this trying to get me to do what he needs also. Because I think that is certainly something. If you say that so quickly after you say, "Oh yeah, I am your father," but I need this from you. That's kind of a bad thing. So
that does sound crazy.
Yeah. Well, no, go ahead, Dana.
I have no idea where in the Nicholas Sparks you came up with that whole thing.
That's just the alternate. No. That's just the alternate, you know.
No. No, I view it as we're in a stash house, right? Kind of similar to where we was at when everyone got shot up. So we're in the stash house. And
right now?
No, this is the end of Omar's life.
All right.
Something happened where we're in the stash house, and it's Omar and it's Kanan, right? And they're boom, shoot out, boom, boom, stop. And he's trying to explain, you know, I'm your father. Don't do this. And he's like, I don't care who you are. Boom, and he kills him. And then I don't see this gushy, mushy, I'm your dad, you know, I'm daddy situation.
Although, like, I do, like, because we're dealing with TV and there has to be some kind of like drama and
we're dealing with Kanan
and tension.
Kanan is not mushy gushy. You with whole notebook. No. I can't. I literally say
I 100% think that he's gonna before Howard dies, he's gonna know that he's his father. But before that moment, I think.
Yeah. I think that he's gonna, and Kanan's gonna be like, I don't care who you are, boom, and then you're dead.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna like find out right there though. Like I think there has to be like a longer period of like suspension. I think
there's one other element that you have to add into this as well, and that is that Raquel and her role in all of this, because you know that she will do whatever she can to protect Kanan. She will tell him stuff or you know, withhold information from him so that he doesn't know the truth. And I think that is the confrontation that we're going to eventually get, is the mother and the son, because there's a lot of stuff that she has done that we've seen already that she has had a hand in so far this season. And when Kanan finds out about that, I will be very curious to see what his reaction is going to be then, because we already know he will do whatever he needs to do. Going back to what Dana said before about the first episode, and how she teaches him how to shoot, and then he has that smirk at the end. And I think Dana said it best. She realizes that she has created a monster. So this is going to come full circle, but that's just my opinion. But yes, she's going to play a role in this to try to make sure that Howard does not tell him the truth. Or if he does tell him, she's going to do whatever she can to say, no, he's lying, all this other stuff. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I think because there has to be that tension between, all three of them. I think there needs to be a longer period of time of him knowing about it before, how it dies, I think. But I do I think that's beautiful the way you guys put it, where Kanan is the one to kill him. Like that would be just beautiful, Um,
or you can go back and see this. Remember when Raquel in this episode found the blood on the shirt and was just waiting downstairs, and she was like, "Oh, I waited all these days for you to tell me, but you never said anything."
Yeah.
What if he pulls the same card?
Yeah.
After he finds out that Howard is his dad, where he's like, "Oh, I just sat here and waited this whole time, and you never told me."
That's a great, see,
exactly.
Writer. That's a writer right there. You got it. Yeah, because she said that twice. Because she's even said it with Marvin. When Marvin, she waited for Marvin to tell her the truth as well. So see, that's perfect. I like that.
Yeah, there you go. So this was an excellent conversation. I definitely want everyone to chime in, let us know what you think about that, how this is going to play out, because this is obviously a huge plot twist. This I'm pretty sure Twitter is going to explode. When this episode airs and everything. So definitely let us know your theories and what you think of this whole Howard situation. But unless you guys had anything else, we'll get to shout outs and then, that's it. So did you guys have anything else you wanted to touch on from this episode? Go ahead.
Remember that from this episode, but from in general, Richard, I know you wanted to bring up the Courtney Kemp situation.
Oh, yes. The news.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about that briefly for those of you who don't know. And how I found out the news, Courtney Kemp sent out a tweet a few days ago saying that she has signed a 8-figure deal with Netflix. And I must admit, I'm a little ignorant because I've never heard of an 8-figure deal. And I've heard 6-figure. I've never heard of 8 figures. So I was like, wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of money.
So
it's the same deal that they gave Shonda.
Yeah, you said Shonda and Ryan Murphy, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, see, so that's great. So how this impacts Power is she's still going to be the executive producer on the shows, but she is currently working on developing new shows and stuff for Netflix. So congratulations to her. That's a fantastic opportunity. I have no idea what she's making for Netflix. It's too early to really decipher that. But I'm glad to know that she's still going to be somewhat creatively involved in Power to some degree. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much though. I really want to know how much this is going to affect Power, because executive producer, you can be an executive producer but not have that much to do with what's going on. But what I think is I think because she was so heavily involved in it, she still has to kind of pass off her ideas and the things she set up and all that stuff. So she has to kind of be there still. I mean, not physically, but she has to be on call to kind of, assist whoever's, taking the reins, because she was so heavily invested in it. This is her baby. So, she kind of has to still play a small part in the future because she worked so heavily on it. So, but I do wonder if this is going to have any effect on Power in the long run. But Dana, what do you think about that?
If you look at the situation with Ryan Murphy is over. Remember at FX, he created all of the American Horror Story and all of the 18 different, now we have different spinoffs. We have stories, anthology, and in there they announced even more shows coming in the American Horror. And they also remember American Crime Story that he did with OJ and he did with the other one. Point that I'm getting is this. He signed his overall deal with Netflix for $100 million too. And the shows, as we've seen, he's still involved with all of the American horrors and all of the American. So it's not going to impact this at all. And also, if you look at Shonda Rhimes, when she jumped ship initially and went over to Netflix, what are we in? The 50th season of Grey's Anatomy. So it's going to be all right.
Yeah, I think there'll be somewhere will be affected. Maybe not right away, but I think somewhere down the line, just because it's so, do you know how hard it is to balance multiple creative projects? And she's doing how many shows at Netflix? 6 or something? Like
6?
how many?
Well, hold on. They I don't think they announced the number of shows that she's doing yet.
I thought the article said she's doing X amount of stuff, like she's bringing X amount of shows or something like that.
Well, I need to check that again. I know right now she is in charge of course, Power Book 2 Ghosts, Raising Kanan,
Right.
the Tommy Show, and if the Influence Show with Terrenz, with Lorenz Tate is still on, because that was not mentioned in the article. But I would assume that's still happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I don't think we'll see any effects at the moment.
No.
But I'm just thinking long term, like.
But we also have to be realistic. I don't expect all the Power shows to last forever. They're going to end at some point. So unless Tariq, ends up having a kid, and now there's a Power show about the kid. No. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But it's we'll see how it happens. But yeah, I don't think it's going to impact the shows yet. But I'm curious to know what she's going to be doing for Netflix for sure.
Yeah, I am curious, and I will be supporting whatever she brings to Netflix. I'll be checking it out. So.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And the article, no, they didn't say how many shows it was, but she did say that she was looking to move from Lionsgate, because Lionsgate's own Stars. It's there in that channel, and that she wanted to work with new people. And the problem with Lionsgate is they underbid.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
Under.
That's what I was going to say. I was surprised.
Yeah, see, to me, that sounds like she's slowly moving away from Power. That's how that sounds to me. That's just me though. That's how it sounds to me.
No, I mean, she said new series and other projects, so that could also be movies, as well. So that. And it's for a 4-year agreement.
Wow. So
and here's the yay for her, not for me, because my bank account is empty. After the 4-year agreement, there's a possibility of her compensation rising to 9 figures based on the success. I don't know how many numbers that is.
Wow.
So 9, whatever.
I've never heard of these type of deals.
So yeah. A lot.
9 figures.
9 figures.
Bro, for 9 figures, man, she's gonna be, man. She's saying, you know what, 50. Good luck, man. That's what she's saying.
If you look, 4 Lionsgates and 4 Stars at this point, because if you really look at it, the main streaming platforms, if you got rid of Power, like just in general, Stars would be in trouble.
Oh yeah.
Kind of, because if you look at, remember, Netflix also signed that overall deal as well, where they took away shows that would go to, I think it was Epic, that after they go on the after, I'm not speaking clearly, sorry, after a movie debuts in the theater, you know how it immediately would go to streaming services, and then it would be picked up on Epics or Stars, for example. They're losing that to Netflix. Netflix got that $1 billion deal. And so that connected also to Sony. So
and we know that like, see, this is the thing with Lionsgate. Lionsgate needs to be paying these people, because Lionsgate said they want to be Netflix. They want the Stars to be Netflix. And if these people are putting on for Stars right now, Courtney Kemp, 50 Cent, like they are doing major things, so they need to be giving up the money like that these people need to make these shows, because they're bringing a lot of stuff. Like they got like 3 Powers like come in. They got BMF. Shoutouts to Stars, by the way. Like they got a lot of content coming up, so they need to be giving up that money, man.
But I have to say, rightfully so, I agree they need to pay up, because I remember when I jumped on the Stars app for the first time, I could be 100% wrong. It feels like Power is the show that got all those people to subscribe to Stars and really want to check out Stars.
Mm-hmm.
They had other shows on there, but that show in particular is what kickstarted a lot of this.
Well, it's a Game of Thrones situation. Remember, after Game of Thrones ended, HBO immediately put out a trailer, said, please don't cancel us. Here's what we also have. Please stay. So yeah.
And then they proceeded to have other shows and cancel them after one season.
Yeah.
HBO.
What happened to American Gods, man?
That show was gone. It's over. After
Finally canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, they canceled that. But
Wow.
they have other shows coming up. You know, Heels, which I know Dana has spoken
My favorite
highly
show.
of.
I love the show.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Heels and BMF. So they're good. And I actually started watching the Blind Spotting show a couple of days ago. It's an okay show. So they got some stuff. Okay. But but Power was the show that's brought people to the app and say, yeah, this is a show you need to watch. So
we'll see what happens. Okay,
so the end of Power.
So what happens if now Netflix says 50, come get this 9 million? Like, what's Star gonna do that?
It kind of feels like that's going to happen at some point. I would not be surprised if it happens. He has had a show on ABC, a lot of different shows. So it kind of feels a little surprising they haven't approached him yet, unless they did approach him and he said the offer wasn't good enough. They need to offer me more. But it's going to probably happen sooner or later. I would be surprised if it doesn't.
Oh, yeah, it's going to absolutely happen. And he has way more shows in the works. That's more than just BMF.
That's the thing. Like, I think he's contractually locked into a lot of things with Stars, so maybe I don't know if he can take any offers, but we'll have to see, I guess. I mean, I'm not his lawyer. I don't know, so I don't claim to be. I don't want to like speculate too much, because then people in the comments say I don't know what I'm talking about.
This is true.
Yeah. But was there anything else?
Yes.
Yeah, Dana.
So I interviewed. It's coming up soon. I have to edit it. I interviewed Akeem Black. Akeem Black is the actor who portrayed Trez G. Right. And nothing. This is not like breaking news or confirmed things yet, because we have to wait. But I talked to him about he was murdered obviously by Unique in that scene. Remember, he was the childhood friend who got addicted to the supply, got high on the own supply, and then he killed him. And I was asking, will we get to see a relationship, like a flashback about the relationship that you and Unique had? And he said that, the door is open for any possibilities. So while that's not a confirmation of a yes or no, I know that you guys said they were filming and then season 2, we could easily get a flashback that really showed the connection that they had, and overall it would show the kind of relationship and personality of Unique and his backstory. So and that interview will be posted when you guys see this video.
Yeah, so go check that out on the channel as well. But did you have some thoughts about that, Richard?
Oh no, I just was curious. I'm curious to know if that flashback happens, if it's going to be a flashback of Trez G and Unique listening to a Paula Abdul song, because the character loves that musician. So,
yeah, that was hilarious when he started singing. That was like the most gangster moment ever, and then he started singing Paula Abdul. Like that was hilarious.
That was funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm all for like these, flashbacks and seeing more insight into these characters and stuff, because they've made these characters feel very alive. So I want to see more of their history and backstories and things of that nature. So I'd be open to seeing that for sure. I kind of think it should happen this season, because like if they leave it to next season, people might not remember. Like, but yeah, like I'm all for seeing that. So, but yeah, was there anything else at all Power related?
That was everything. It was Power related.
Okay, so yeah, let's get to shout outs and then end this off. So I'll go first real quick. I do want to shout out to Born King, who was the commenter. I want to give him a shout out because I appreciate all comments, good or bad. And he said that I'm not in tune with hip hop or whatever because of the statement I made last week about some rappers being around street dudes, but the rapper isn't always street himself. The way I meant that was like, yeah, there are rappers who have been in the streets for sure, and one of them is very well documented and part of the show sort of. So in Power and everything. So of course, there are rappers who have been in the streets who have a history. We know that already. I was just specifically talking, within the context of Famous in Raising Kanan, and the fact that he's rapping street stuff, but he's not really in the streets. And I'm wondering if they're going to show that aspect of hip hop, where that sometimes does happen, where a rapper is pretending, to be street.
Yep.
Because that does happen. That. Yeah, exactly. And then you have Lulu, who really is the street dude, and he's kind of giving authenticity to the situation. So that's what I was talking about, But I want to say that, Born King, I took the time to listen to some of your videos, and I quite like what you're doing. So if you're open to it, I'd be open to making some content with you, because you seem, pretty cool. Your hip hop history, and I love talking hip hop. So if you ever want to do some content, I'm open to that. If you're listening, he might not be listening, but who knows? But yeah, I definitely wanted to shout him out, and I wanted to shout out Raiwan as well, because they said I look like Kane from Power Book 2. So that made my day, because he said I look like a Power character. And I feel like I should be in Power. I should be like the British Connect or something. So
yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So big shouts to them, and also shouts to Robert Silver. He's been a loyal listener, and he's always, every week he tweets at me and lets me know, what he thinks of the show and everything. He agrees a lot with you two, Richard and Dana. So big shouts to him, and also shouts to Anna, because she's always she sends me her feedback direct. You need to start leaving comments, but yeah. Yeah, shouts to Anna. So yeah, I want to shout out to everyone who listens to this show. I did some analytics, and I see that there's people listening in Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, places like that. So big shouts to everyone around the world who listens to Power. We are on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on YouTube, and you can visit thecoalition.com, Coalition with a K, and you can see all of our content on there also. So yeah, thanks for everyone who supports the show. Dana, any shout outs from your side?
There we go. Muted. I just wanted to say really quickly that I did have information about Power Book 2. I forgot. Sorry. Lo siento. It comes back sometime around November, and that Courtney Kemp did an interview with Entertainment Weekly, and in that interview, she explained where we're going to pick up for that show in season 2, and that she said that it will pick up directly after the death of good old Jabari. Remember Jabari? Get out, Professor Jabari. Yep. She says that the murder will generate a big response back at the Stanford University, where we had begun an encroachment on his drug life into school life with the incidents that took place in episode 8, with the attempt on his life and the body in the pool. Now his whole drug life is crashed into his campus life in a real way. So we're going to see, everything basically just start to crumble. He's not able to keep those two lives of my drug life, and I'm also a student, separate now. People are going to start figuring out what he really does. And they knew that he is the father of Ghost, but their son. Yeah, I said the father. Sorry. He knew that he was the son of Ghost, but now they're going to really, put 2 and 2 together. And remember when he was selling the drugs on the app situation, they're going to start putting that together. And there's going to be some ramifications behind that. And remember his friend that was with him also on the app, helping and being the side partner. They're going to start testing that relationship again. So we're going to see how that plays out. Also, it did say that Tariq definitely feels like he's walking around as a ticking time bomb. His relationships are going to start to get more complicated. And while that's all happening, he's still got a love life. So, yay, we're going to see that happen. And that should be interesting. And the mirror said it's going to drop around sometime in November. We don't have a date that's fully locked in. But hopefully, if there's no shutdowns, we'll get that in time. Mm-hmm. And also for shout outs, thank you to everyone who is listening. And thank you for your continued support.
Indeed. For sure. That sounds exciting, you know, for the next book too. Rich, any shout outs?
Oh, yeah. I just want to give a shout out to both you and Dana. Excellent show as always. Shout out to all of the people that continue to listen and support the content we make. We definitely want to get you guys' opinions on some of the discussions we had today. So please do leave a comment. You can consider liking and subscribing as well. But definitely comment, because I think what we are willing to do on this show, which I don't see on a lot of other power shows, is that we're able to have these deeper conversations. So if you like these conversations and you have an opinion, I would love to hear your opinion. So definitely would encourage you to do so. Consider doing so. But thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to talking more power next week.
Yeah, can't wait. So yeah, we will return next week. And until then, you know, everyone take care of yourselves and have a great week.
Yes.
Peace out.
Peace.